That's Worgalies here. We just finished the scope coding example. Make sure you save it so you don't lose your edits. And we're going to come back to the slides. We're going to start with the next concept. We're on slide number 22. In slide 22, we're going to talk about the Onclick event. Now, the Onclick event is going to do what it sounds like it's going to do. It's going to be an event that occurs when the user clicks on an element. Now, the element can be anything. Usually it's going to be a button, but we can apply it on a paragraph tag. We can apply it on a div. We can apply it on an image. We can apply it on any element that you want to apply it on. So here is an example of a button. So this is going to execute a JavaScript function when a button is clicked. So I have a button. I have the Onclick event. It's going to go up to my function. You'll see I have to include the parentheses just like an onload, and then whatever text is going to be on the button. So when I click this, it's going to trigger the event, and my function will be called. Here's the syntax. I can do it on any element, or I can use JavaScript to apply the onClick. So let's say I had a button here with an ID of my button. So I could say get element by ID, my button, and I can do .onClick, and then I can set it to this anonymous function to run this script. So you can either set it with HTML or you can set it with JavaScript, depending on what you want to do. And we're going to go to onclick.html. Okay, let's open up that coding example. So I'm going to come back to brackets. Make sure you save scope. I usually do file, save all, and then I'll go to number 5, onclick.html. Now, here I have some code. Okay, you'll see I have some styles. I put some borders so we can see these elements very clearly. You'll see I have a div here, and if I scroll down a little bit, you'll see in the body, I have a div with ID animate me, and I have a paragraph tag with ID equal to time. Now, let's apply the onClick function. You'll see I have a function declaration up here, and once this function is executed, it's going to grab animate me, and it's going to change the background color to purple, and it's going to set the animation iteration count to infinite. If I refresh the page, you'll see it loads once, and then it's finished. So let's do this onClick event. I can do an onClick on the div. So let's say I want them to click the div. Once they click the div, we're going to call the handleClick function, and it's going to execute those lines of code. So I'm going to refresh the page, and I will click on the div. Okay, so I'm clicking on the div. Nothing's happening. Okay, usually what I'll do is I will put a print statement here. Okay, so I'll do a print. Let's do a print log, and I'll just say function handleClick call. Okay, do a semicolon, refresh the page, click on the div. You don't see any print, so something's going wrong with the function call. Let me go back. So I have onClick. What did I forget? Okay, I forgot the parentheses here. If I forget the parentheses, it won't work, and you will get points taken off on your assignment. So let's refresh. Now I click on the div. You'll see it turns purple and sets the iteration count to infinite, and also print out my print statement there. So if something's going wrong, put a print statement there and find out what's happening. If the first line doesn't print, most likely the function never got called. If the function didn't get called, something's either wrong with your event or something's wrong with the function the event is calling. So in this case, I forgot the parentheses. Once I do it, that will work. So what's interesting here is if I refresh, I can click anywhere in this div. I can click in the text. If I refresh, I can click, let's say, on the corner here. If I refresh, I can click, and I'm going to zoom in really far so you can see this. I can click even on the border. Okay, you'll see that takes effect. Now, if I click outside the border, okay, nothing happens. So the onClick will affect the entire element, including the border. If I click on the border here, the onClick event worked. Okay, so the onClick will be the entire element. I can do an onClick on a div. I can also do it on a paragraph tag. So let's say I have an onClick here. I can put them on any element. Let's say they click on this paragraph tag. What do I want to do? I'm going to create a function called handleTime. Make sure you put your parentheses there. So let's create this function. I'm going to create a function declaration called handleTime. And what's going to happen with this? So first, I'm going to grab the paragraph tag. So I'm going to grab the paragraph tag. How do I do that? I'm going to call the DOM. So I'm going to call document. That's going to be the DOM. And I'm going to call the get element by ID because I have an ID on the paragraph tag down here called time. So I'll set this equal to time. And then once I have the paragraph tag, let's print it out to make sure I have the correct one and everything worked properly. So usually you'll do a print to make sure that you've grabbed that element. I'll click on the paragraph tag and you'll see that element prints out. So I have successfully grabbed that element and now I can change the inner HTML. So I'll call paragraph, I'll call inner HTML, and I want to change it to the current time. So JavaScript has a date function. If I call the date function, it's going to print the current date and time. So here I have my div, click on it, it turns purple, sets the iteration count to infinite, click on the paragraph tag, you'll see it sets it to the current time based off of the local machine. So you see it's Pacific Daylight Time, and this is the date and time. If I scroll in super far, you'll see that that click function will work even on the border of the paragraph tag. Outside the border, it doesn't work. So the onClick will affect this entire paragraph tag, including the border. Okay, we're going to go on to the next part of the lecture. Stick with Professor Wergeles, and we'll see you in the next video.